Welcome back to our channel. Your next big find could be just 25 cents away. Check your quarters, some are worth way more than face value. Like and subscribe now. In the middle of the 1980s, the United States was experiencing a cultural transformation. Technology was accelerating, Wall Street was booming, and music blared from boomboxes on every street corner. It was the era of neon, of VHS tapes, of Top Gun and the Challenger space shuttle. Amid all of this excitement and innovation, there was something quietly being produced by the US Mint that would one day stir an entirely different kind of thrill, one that wouldn't be realized until decades later. It was the 1986 Washington Quarter, and while millions were made that year, only a select few would become legends among collectors. Most quarters minted in 1986 were business as usual. They featured the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse, and on the reverse, the proud image of the American eagle standing tall on a bundle of arrows. To the everyday person, there was nothing unusual about these coins. They passed from hand to hand in grocery stores, dropped into arcade machines, and piled into coin jars without a second glance. But hidden among these billions of transactions was a small number of coins that were never meant to be ordinary. It started with a coin collector in Michigan who had been going through a batch of quarters he'd received from a local bank. He wasn't expecting anything extraordinary, just a routine search. But then he noticed something. A 1986 quarter, but something about it felt off. The rim looked unusually thick on one side and thin on the other. When he flipped it over, he saw that the eagle was not perfectly centered. The coin had been struck off-center, a rare mistake that can occur when a blank planchet isn't properly positioned in the coin press. Curious, he weighed the coin and discovered that it didn't match the standard specifications. The collector knew he might have found something truly special. That coin would eventually be certified as a genuine mint error. A 1986 quarter struck 15% off-center, and it sold for thousands at auction just a few years later. This was just the beginning. In the years following, other collectors began scrutinizing their 1986 quarters more closely, and more rare variants began to emerge. One particularly dramatic error involved a double strike, where the coin was struck twice by the press in slightly different positions. The result was a shadow-like duplication of the design, especially visible around Washington's profile and the eagle's wings. These are among the most visually striking of mint errors, and for collectors, they're like capturing lightning in a bottle. Another rarity surfaced in California, where a numismatist discovered a 1986 quarter that had been struck on the wrong metal. It was lighter than a normal quarter and had a distinctive, golden hue. Tests revealed it had been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin, possibly one made for another country using US Mint facilities at the time. This type of wrong planchet error is exceptionally rare, and when found in such pristine condition, the coin's value skyrocketed. There were also examples of clipped planchets, where a crescent-shaped portion of the coin was missing due to a misaligned blank punch during production. These were striking in appearance, as though the coin had taken a bite out of itself. Add in the presence of a full date and readable features, and these errors quickly became highly sought after. In some instances, coins showed signs of die cracks and cuds, where aging or damaged dies caused raised lines or blobs of metal to appear on the coin's surface. These imperfections, once seen as flaws, became signatures of authenticity in the rare coin world. One of the most captivating finds came from a man sorting through his late father's old coin collection. Deep in a cigar box was a 1986 quarter that shimmered unusually. It had never seen circulation and retained its original luster. But it wasn't just its condition that caught attention, it was the fact that the obverse was perfectly struck, while the reverse was completely blank. It was a die cap error, where the reverse die had failed to strike the design. This ghost-like coin was certified and quickly became a centerpiece in a private collection. Every one of these error coins had a journey. They were struck at the US Mint under specific, fleeting circumstances, perhaps during a moment of equipment misalignment, or with a worn die, or with a blank planchet from a different batch. Most of these mistakes are caught and destroyed. But sometimes, just sometimes, they slip through the cracks and into circulation. And when they do, they become numismatic legends. The fascination with the 1986 quarter is not just about its errors. It's also about timing. In the mid-80s, quality control at the mint was tightening. Major minting mistakes had become rarer, which makes any discovered from this period all the more valuable. The contrast between the expected precision of the era and the reality of these surviving anomalies only adds to their allure. Collectors today continue to hunt for these 1986 treasures. Coin rolls from banks are searched. Flea market jars are combed through. Estate sales and antique stores are explored, all with the hope of discovering that one coin, the one that got away, the one that defied the odds, the one worth far more than its face value. If you ever come across a 1986 quarter, take a moment. Hold it up to the light. Examine the rim. Look closely at the date, the lettering, the alignment. Feel its weight in your hand. It might seem like just another quarter, but it could be something far more, because the very rare 1986 US quarter-dollar coin, when found with specific mint errors like off-center strikes, wrong planchets, die caps, or dramatic double strikes, can carry an astonishing collector value. In today's market, these coins have been known to command prices ranging from $40,000 to $110,000. A simple coin, easily overlooked, transformed by error into a piece of history worth more than most could ever imagine. So keep your eyes open, your next quarter might just change your fortune. In the year 2022, as the world continued to navigate the complexities of a new decade, the United States Mint launched a bold and long-awaited initiative, the American Women Quarters Program. At the forefront of this historic series was none other than Maya Angelou, poet, author, activist, and icon. Her voice had transcended generations, and now, her legacy would be immortalized not just in books or speeches, but in the palm of every American hand. The first quarter released in this series bore her name, her likeness, and her essence. But among the millions struck, there were a select few that would go on to become much more than currency. They would become legends in the world of rare coins. The Maya Angelou quarter was unlike any other before it. On the obverse, it featured the familiar right-facing portrait of George Washington. But this wasn't the traditional Washington engraving. It was a fresh design sculpted by Laura Garden Fraser nearly a century earlier, finally taking its place on U.S. coinage in 2022. On the reverse, Maya Angelou stood with her arms uplifted, a bird in flight behind her, rays of sunshine radiating around her figure, a tribute to her autobiography, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. It was bold. It was poetic. It was history in metal. But even within this new and celebrated series, something unexpected happened. It began quietly, just a casual conversation among collectors on an online forum. Someone had found a Maya Angelou quarter that looked odd. The design was there, yes. The shine was perfect. But the finish looked slightly different, almost satin-like. Further examination revealed it was a special strike, a hybrid between a proof and a circulation coin, likely struck at a moment of machine recalibration. This anomaly led to speculation. Could there be more? Soon, word spread of other unusual examples. A dealer in Pennsylvania reported discovering a double die obverse, where the inscriptions, Liberty and In God We Trust, appeared slightly shadowed or doubled. The doubling was subtle, but unmistakable to a trained eye. These rare varieties didn't just catch the attention of local collectors, they were submitted to grading agencies for authentication, and what they revealed sent waves through the numismatic world. Some Maya Angelou quarters had been struck with misaligned dies, resulting in off-center errors where Maya's figure was pushed ever so slightly to the left or right. Others displayed die chips, extra pieces of metal forming strange shapes around the text or images, like little raised scars caused by overused equipment. One example from a coin show in Texas featured a die chip that looked like a teardrop coming from Maya's eye. The poetic irony wasn't lost on anyone. Then came the most jaw-dropping discovery of all, a Maya Angelou quarter struck on a nickel planchet. It weighed noticeably less, had a dull gray finish, and didn't quite fit in with the rest. This type of wrong planchet error is one of the rarest occurrences in modern minting, typically caused by leftover blanks from other coin denominations being fed into the quarter press. The coin was submitted for grading, authenticated, and sold for an astonishing 5-figure price within days. Collectors began to pay more attention to the details. A variation in luster, a misplaced mint mark, an unusually sharp strike, all of it mattered. One collector found a quarter where the reverse was missing entirely. It was a die cap error, caused when a coin sticks to the upper die and continues to strike blank planchets, creating a ghost-like effect on subsequent coins. That piece, even in uncirculated condition, was unlike anything the average collector had ever seen. The irony of the Maya Angelou quarter's rarest versions lies in its message. Angelou stood for perseverance, for rising above expectations, for finding greatness in unexpected places. And these rare coins, minting mistakes, anomalies, errors, they too rose above. They weren't perfect, but that imperfection made them powerful. They stood apart in a sea of uniformity. They told a story. They sang. As the months went on, auction houses began listing certified rare varieties of the 2022 Maya Angelou quarter. Prices climbed. Demand grew. Stories emerged of lucky finds in coin rolls, change jars, even coin-operated laundry machines. A teenager in Oregon reportedly found a rare off-center Angelou quarter while buying a soda. He later sold it with his father's help for enough to pay off a year of college tuition. For many, it's just another coin, a piece of metal worth 25 cents. But to the trained eye, to the historian, to the dreamer, this coin is a celebration of art, activism, and rare accidental beauty. And within the world of numismatics, it's one of the most exciting modern coins to collect, because the very rare 2022 U.S. Maya Angelou $quarter coin, when found with unique minting errors such as double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, or die caps, can command a stunning collector value. In today's market, these extraordinary pieces have been known to sell for between $30,000 to $90,000. So if you find one of these quarters in your pocket, look again. What seems ordinary may just be a once-in-a-lifetime treasure.